Hi guys, I'm Ryan Newsman and welcome to my fly tying channel. If you haven't already done so, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. That'll keep you up to date with everything as I upload it. My channel already contains hundreds of videos covering a wide range of both patterns and techniques, from the basic to the more advanced. So without delay, let's get on with the show. Hi guys, so we're going to tie a bomber tonight, and this one is the black bomber, unknown origin. So this is a Partridge CS42 bomber hook. This one happens to be a size 6, and I'm going to use a black 6/0 thread. And wrap that down our body to a point level roughly with the point of the hook. So, as you may have seen me do before, I'm going to run a little bit of clear varnish onto my tie-on wrappings, and I think that just seals the hook a little bit, helps to stop it from rusting and hopefully stop it from spinning. Anyway, so I'm going to tie on a white calf tail here, and the calf tail is for both the tail and for a split white wing out the front. So take a little bunch of our calf tail here, tie that in, tie back, let our thread hang. That'll give you your guide as to where you are. And then I'm going to wrap forwards, but what I'm going to do before I do that is to just take my clear varnish and I'm going to put a little bit onto these tag ends. Now my calf tail that I have, the hair is quite short, so I'm leaving it as is, but if it was a longer one then I would have trimmed it to a similar length but tried to leave a sort of taper. So I'm going to take another bunch now and tie that in as our wing. Just getting rid of any of the longest fibres, hold it by its tip and get rid of any of the under fibres as well. If you wanted, you could put that in a hair stacker. Depends how regimented a look I suppose you want to your fly. Take our tie and thread forward here, right up to where we would want the head. I'm going to set that on, measure it for length. So you could have up to the length of the shank, I suppose, in that if you wanted. I'm just going to hold it in place. Tie it in on top there. Any extra long fibres I'm just going to pull out. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one of these precision super glues, put a little dot into the rear portion, and before it dries I'm going to wrap into that. So that's our fly base ready to go. So if we want to divide this wing, what we do is we pull it apart, separate it into 2 equal sides, and then do like a figure of 8 kind of wrap in between. If you want them to be even more distinct, what we'll do is we'll wrap around the base. You might be able to see it easier this way, of each bunch. and that'll give us an even more defined division. And now I'm going to tie in my hackle now, and I'm going to tie in at the front, because what I'm going to do is wrap it backwards and then forwards again. You could alternatively tie in, that'll give me a double thickness of hackle, I suppose, as I do it. You could do that by tying in 2 hackles at the back, and for this what we're going to use is like a gingery brown hackle, and I'm going to tie that in between my 2 wings and take my tying thread back. So our fly is now ready for spinning the deer hair. So bombers, a tip for tying bombers is that you could tape up both your tail and your wing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take, this is like a partial tape, but you can use masking tape or something along the lines of that. I'm going to start that at the very rear point of my tying thread here. Stick that together. The idea is we don't want something that really sticks to our materials. And then at the front here, same thing, but I'm just going to take it to the very back of the tie-in of our wings and just pinch that together, and that'll keep all of those materials out of the way for when it comes to spinning the deer hair and trimming the deer hair. Looks silly, but works. So we're going to wrap a black deer hair body here. So we'll take our black deer hair, cut a bunch off, go back to here, set that on. I allow it to envelop the hook 2 turns around and start to tighten them down, and then right at the end just release your hand and it will spin a little bit around the shank. That'll give you that even distribution, and then put several turns in front of it so before you let go, because otherwise it would loosen the wraps that have bound down the previous bunch. So we just pull all back, set a bunch into the side, turn across it, second turn, and again allow it to spin as you tighten it up, and then we just repeat as we go along the body here. Pull all back. And you notice after each tie-in I wrap through the bunch, and that just gives extra security to the tie-in. It's a little bit time consuming. But I suppose the more time you take over it, the neater the finish you're going to get. So we're approaching the front here. You might get 2 bunches in, but it might be just the one. We'll see now. We'll know better when we get this one on. So 2 turns around as you tighten it'll start to roll, wrap through itself, and that is us. So what I'm going to do here is, just in case I cut my thread, is to put on a half hitch just behind the wing. And then I'm going to take a large sort of straight hairdressing type scissors. I'm going to take off the bulk of our black hair with that. This is where our rotary function on a vise comes in useful, in that we can spin. Some people prefer to take the fly out into their hand and do this. So the rough of it is off now with the bigger scissors, so I'm going to take these smaller ones with a curve and try and get that sort of cigar shape. Now I'm going to get these, because they're pointy, I'm going to slide it along my tape there and get it just underneath those fibres at the back, so I can get a nice neat cut up to the back of my tail. So I'm happy enough with the rear taper of that. So what I want to do is get a little bit of taper towards the front. I'm just going to swap my scissors around the other direction. Again, spinning the vise. So once we're sort of happy with the shape, what we'll do is take off our tape. Front and rear. And then it's time to wrap our hackle. So I'm just going to push all of the fibres of the deer hair out perpendicular to the shank. That'll help the hackle go into it easier. If it seems to be uneven in any places, now you can trim it. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take this hackle, I'm going to put on a couple of wraps at the front here, and then I'm going to wiggle it down through, and when I get to the back there, I'm then going to come up forward again, wiggling it into it. take it in front here and then tie it off. Stroke all into place, check the split, fold it all back up a little bit, hold all back, and then create our head. So I always try and put on 2 turns or 2 whips if I can help it. It just gives me that little bit of added security. And then to finish our fly off, we're going to get a little bit of clear varnish onto our dubbing needle. I'm just going to split these wings apart and get that blob of varnish in between them and onto the head. Flip it over a little bit underneath, and that is our black bomber with the split wings tied. So I suppose you could use a more orangey type, gingery orange type hackle for that, but hopefully you like what you see. If you did, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends. Until next time, tight lines, and thanks for watching.